Hatchet Girls Rampage, Episode 1. Thank you for watching. Please share, subscribe, and educate your communities. Today, I will be ranting about the Canadian criminal justice system regarding criminal records, the barriers and labels that are attached to people who have criminal records in today's society. So to start off, I'm going to explain a little bit about what a criminal record is. So a criminal record is any charge or conviction that you have had as an adult. So if you were fully sentenced as an adult, you in fact do have a criminal record. If you were charged or convicted as a youth only, you don't have a criminal record. So why does anybody need a criminal record check in the first place? So unfortunately, employers will often ask for a criminal background check before you're allowed to start the position that you applied for. So even if you have the job because you're qualified, you still have to complete the criminal background check. You may even be overqualified for the position, and they're still going to ask you for a criminal background check before you can start the position. Also, if you want to do some volunteering, a lot of volunteer department managers will ask for a clearance letter to ultimately protect their own asses, just in case you decide, you're going to attack another volunteer. It's just really a risk assessment on their end, and again, with employers as well. So you also need to they'll do an automatic record check when you try to get cross the border. So once you give them your passport, they have all your information. So depending on the conviction and the level of the offense, this also may be a barrier. So what happens if you do have a criminal record? So for starters, you're not gonna get the job that you applied for, or you're not likely to, and you may actually end up losing the job that you currently have. So it risks your employment if you have a criminal record. It risks any volunteering opportunities you might have in the community. So say, they tell you, oh, we want to bring you on board for volunteering, and then you give them your criminal record check and you have an offense on it, they can deny you. So again, the crossing the border, they may hold you, they may not. Again, it depends on the severity of the offense. So in regards to employment, like I said, you may not get the job you applied for, and you also could potentially lose a job that you have if your company finds out. So our company is legally allowed to do this. So what I've found out based on my research, they are legally allowed to deny you an employment opportunity based on a criminal record, but only if the conviction is related to the actual job position and qualifications. So for example, somebody who owns a cleaning company has an application. So somebody applies to their job and has a DUI on their record. That wouldn't relate to any qualifications for a cleaning position unless they're driving the vehicle. So if the manager of the company is driving the vehicle, that person is legally not allowed to be denied that position because the offense has no relation to performing cleaning duties. However, on the other hand, say that person had a theft charge. A cleaning company owner would not be able to hire that person because then it risks the company losing out on money if the employee decides that they're going to take something from somebody's house. So it's just a huge liability issue, and unfortunately it's not worth it for companies, and they use this as an excuse to not hire you. So in regards to being denied volunteering opportunities, which is odd because, what volunteer organizations don't want to accept free labor? But again, they are allowed to deny you unless a conviction is linked or unlinked, to the position that you applied for. So again, DUI is an example. If you're volunteering to do truck driving and you have a DUI in your record, chances are you're not going to be able to volunteer. However, if you have a minor offense such as, mischief, you had a campfire in your backyard and you got a ticket or something for it, or you got charged because you yelled at the cop, that has nothing to do with driving a truck at all. So that would be classified as discrimination. So in regards to crossing the border, a lot of people think that because you have a criminal record, you're not getting through at all. So I want to clear that up. So crossing the border and the barriers that come along with crossing the border is more focused on summary offenses. So these are minor offenses that are punished with fines, probation, or even like if you do get a jail sentence, it's always less than 2 years. So that's not an issue with crossing the border. Like we're talking about offenses such as drug possession, minor drug possession. Like I'm talking about you had a joint in your pocket when you got pulled over. DUIs, mischief, theft under 5,000, very minor charges compared to indictable offenses like murder, rape, terrorism. If you have an indictable offense, you're not getting across the border. They're going to detain you, and they're just going to turn you home because, in their defense, they don't want somebody coming in who is a murderer. So here's the complicated aspect of the criminal record clearance. So how does one get rid of a criminal record? So currently we are to, as Canadian citizens, are to wait 5 years. So there's a 5-year wait time. You have to apply to the Canadian government because, they make every decision for you in your life. And then you obviously have to pay a large fee. So, thanks to this funny looking man, people who have a criminal record now have to wait 5 years and have to pay around $600 to apply for a record suspension, which he also changed because it was formerly known as a pardon. So, not only did he change the criteria, he changed the name of the whole process in the first place. So originally, before the Conservatives came into power, the wait times for a pardon was only 3 years. Excuse me. And it was $50 to have you would be charged a processing fee of $50. So this bothers me because criminologists were not even consulted during this change. So it's actually been proven, like criminologists have statistics that show that, the whole let's get tough on crime attitude, it doesn't have any negative or positive effects at all in the crime rates in Canada. So that was the whole Conservatives' reason, is that they were going to extend the wait time and make it harder for people to get pardons to ensure nobody would break the law, but really they kind of just screwed themselves in the process. Yes. So this picture just explains the whole situation perfectly. I'm not going to go into more detail about it because I don't want to get in trouble, but yes, so we don't know what the Conservatives were thinking. So here is my beef. So when you deny somebody an employment position or a volunteer position, you are now violating human rights. So in Section 15 of the Canadian Charter of Rights, which was created by the Supreme Court of Canada, it full out states that Canadian citizens are to be treated equal, respected equally, and be viewed as human beings and not be discriminated against. So the last time that I checked, being isolated from society doesn't really promote equality. So not to mention, on top of all of that, being isolated from society, more people are relying on the welfare system. So that's a great way to protect the tax dollars for Canadian working citizens. So you have a violation of a human right, so you're not being treated equal. More people are relying on the welfare system for financial because they can't get a job. And then, of course, people are being stigmatized in the community because they have mental health issues, right? So this all leads to, if you're isolated and you're not being a part of the community, and you're staying at home, it leads to depression, it leads to mental health issues, and therefore it's just this huge vicious cycle. So if we can't fix it, I'm sure that Bob the Builder can. So let's help Bob. let's help Bob the Builder fix this problem in our community and help with the whole reintegration process for people who are coming out of the system and trying to better their lives. So the first thing that we can do is educate our community. So I want it to be known that 83% of people favored an automatic record suspension for summary offenses. So in October of 2017, the federal government posted a poll on the Canadian statistics site asking Canadians about their opinions on record suspensions and what they would like to see going further. And obviously, as I mentioned, it was very favored that people had actually, instead of having to apply for a record suspension, that it's just automatic. So we're talking again summary offenses. So property theft, we're talking drug crimes, minor drug crimes, we're talking non-violent crimes, and any summary offenses that are often handled. Not to mention the crimes that were once illegal and no longer illegal. So we're talking marijuana offenses. Now that marijuana is going to be legalized in Canada, we can't allow a person to still have that on their record if it's now legalized. So I will sign off by saying, toke away Canada and make sure you get that drug charge cleared.